right. Okay, we are live today for the Sunday Brunch Bunch episode 33. And we are going to be talking about the year 2015 today. So wait until perhaps some people show up and who may want to join the illustrious panel today. It's a beautiful day here in Chicago. It's sunny, clear, 40 degrees. I mean, last week it was, or I should say, this past week, earlier in the week, bitter cold, sunny, but it was bitter cold. And then the other night, I think it was, yesterday, woke up in the morning and it was like, 29 degrees. Well, it wasn't even that warm. It was more like 20. So I'm, got my sweats and my sweatshirt on and all that. And then later in the day, I'm going, man, I feel so like super warm. And then I checked the temperature. It was above 40. Crazy. What's going on in the weather realm. So we'll see if we get some people to join the stream today. Hey, Tommy, good to see you. A little cold and snowing where you're at. That's probably not all that unusual. Look at that. He's got 8 records. That's more than I have. But, I've got enough to get us going through here. So we'll be, I might as well send out the link for the stream. I know that Jason was asking because I, forgot to post that we were going to have a show this weekend, and he was asking about it. So that reminded me. Oh yeah, I forgot to post something about it. So I did. I posted that yes, we are having a show, and so I don't know. I haven't heard from him since. So I don't know if we'll hear from him at all, if he'll join us. I know that lately Jorgen hasn't had very much from these more recent years, so he's just been loyally stopping by and watching and commenting. So that's all great. The link is out there for anyone who wants to join and talk about records that they have from 2015, which, this up until about 2020, I mean, I've got records, from these years. It gets fewer, like, I've got a few new ones from 2021 and 2022. But I'll probably combine those years when we get to it. So, hello, Tommy. How are you doing today?
Quite fine, thanks. Been
Good.
relaxing day today.
What's that?
Relaxing day today.
Yeah.
Yesterday I have so much things to do. I was first running in the morning, then we go to a record fair with my son. He gave a nice comment about the record fair. There were only old people, and every stand there was rock, lower records, hurricanes.
Yeah.
I think that he was complete right with his comments there. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Yeah.
When you have record shows there, do you encounter a lot of hoarders that, people that just grab records and load up boxes and, take them out? Or are people, more civilized and just looking through the different bins to find stuff?
I think we are here quite civilized, and we don't.
Okay.
You can, if you are looking like the crates there, you can do it as piece, and then you move on, and next one comes there, and there are not
Yeah.
much crowding there.
All right.
But there was so much people that I really didn't want to go all the crates through. I was only searching one album, and I found it, and then now we go away.
You see, now I've never been to a record fair like that. For one reason, I don't have a car anymore. So where they usually have them is in an arena or convention center that's difficult for me to get to. I mean, there's plenty of them here in the Chicago area, but it's just difficult for me to get there using public transportation. Chris, what's your experience with record fairs? You go to them much?
I've never been to a record fair.
Yeah. Okay.
So in the last few years that I've been back into records, I've thought about it. The closest one would be in Nashville. There was actually one, it was about a year ago. I was planning on going, and then the night before I had a plumbing issue that I had to deal with. So I ended up not going, and I just haven't gotten around to it. But I mean, between buying stuff on Discogs and buying stuff at thrift stores and local record stores, it's like I already spend more than enough money on records without going to a record fair.
Yeah, I was lucky that there was so much people that you didn't have time to go those crates, and you found your record. But I was looking, then I quite much save money. I was thinking I could spend like 100 euros, but now it was less than 50 I used.
Yeah, okay.
1 7-inch and one album only.
Because 100 euros is, that's a pretty big chunk of change to be, dropping on records at one time. Of course, now I've done that plenty of times where, I'll get to the checkout, and then I've already got it figured in my head. Shit, I've got like $120 worth of records here. But at least I'm getting 5 or 6 records, so it's working out to around $20 to $25 per record, which is pretty much now the general price for new records, and even for some used records that are like in near mint condition, but they're records that people want, so get that in there. But geez, yeah, and this last week I was in South Bend, Indiana, all right, college town, Notre Dame. But I forgot that Notre Dame really isn't that big of a university. I mean, it acts big because of their football program, but it's really like 4,000 or 5,000 students. That's it for the campus. So I had this expectation. I was going there for work, all right, but I still had this expectation that there'd be lots of cool record stores. And there weren't really. I mean, the record stores were pretty pathetic, so I did find a couple records though that I picked up and brought back. So, it wasn't all a loss. So, Chris, you said you had like 8 LPs, and you didn't even pull any CDs or 7 inches. Oh my.
Yeah.
And then Tommy, you edited down your 50 plus pile to about 10. So that's a good number for us to work with.
Yeah, I have once more time, like 1 hour and 20 minutes now.
Yes.
So it's good gap here to have a little chat here and show some records.
Yeah. It, when someone does have like a whole bunch of records, I don't mind when they show 3 or 4, at a time, and go through them or something like that. I know Jason does that often. I've done that before too when I have a whole lot of records, but that's not going to happen until, if we revisit maybe some earlier years after we finished with the 21st century year. But all right, why don't we start off with you, Tommy, and what have you got to start us off?
Yeah, I start with this album. It's Myrkur, and the album name is M on only. And this is Danish black metal band, female-fronted black metal, and this is she had one EP before this one. This is really good black metal album. But now I was looking about these songs here. Some are in English and some are in Danish, but I don't remember what songs were like. There are both in black metal wave, and then there's like a Scandinavian folk music type of things, and I'm really much on those folk music songs. And after this album, she made he recorded an album in one mausoleum in Norwegian with Køl Scheuer, what was it say? And that was very beautiful album. And that's when I found Myrkur actually, and then I have bought this back catalog also. Very good album if you are in black metal.
I think you were saying last week that you are more likely to have female vocalists with black metal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But I don't have any another female vocalist in black metal albums. I only have this Myrkur, but Myrkur is so good we don't need any else.
Oh, okay. Myrkur. Okay.
Yeah, Myrkur. Unfortunately, she had cancelled 2 times now Finnish show, and I don't know when she's coming here, because now nobody goes to Russia. Before that, they are always stopped here in Finland, and they go to St. Petersburg and Moscow and etc. But
what does the band name translate to in English?
I don't have any idea.
Oh, okay.
It's probably some
all right.
ancient Scandinavian language. I haven't checked what that means.
Okay. Well, then, how about you, Chris? What do you have to start us off?
All right. Well, I'll start off with the Dead Weather, this album called Dodge and Burn, which was the third, and I believe it's the most. I don't think the Dead Weather have been active and released anything since then. So, of course, the most famous member of the band is Jack White. This woman named Alison Mosshart is the vocalist on most of the songs. And so I'll be honest, I haven't listened to this record in a while. So I don't honestly, my prep work was typing 2015 into Discogs about an hour ago and pulling records. So I don't have any huge memories of this record off the top of my head. I don't think I tend with like Jack White's post White Stripes material. I probably like the Raccoon Tours and a couple of his solo albums better than this. So, but it's got pretty cool album cover, I think. And yeah, I didn't pull it out of the plastic. Sorry.
What is that burning? Something burning in the background?
Yeah. There's some sort of fire. It's a big pile of tires that are burning.
Ah, okay.
So,
all that gross smoke from that. Ooh.
Yeah.
I can remember when I used to live in New Mexico, and I'd be driving from Santa Fe down to Ruidoso. There's this it's a state highway, but it's out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not doing the interstate, and there would be trucks that were hauling these giant trailers that were filled with nothing but tires, and they would haul them down to El Paso, because that highway went straight down into El Paso, Texas, and then into Juarez. So they would be taking them into Mexico. But yeah, just gargantuan loads of tires. I guess they would go down there for making retreads. And then occasionally there'd be tire fires, and it would be really gross and sick. Anyway, I'm going to start off here with this fellow here, John Grant, and the album is Gray Tickles, Black Pressure. So just curious cover with the duckling. I don't know if it's supposed to be referencing an ugly duckling or anything like that, but John Grant, he was born in Michigan, in Buchanan, Michigan, in a very conservative religious family. And he's gay, and he's HIV positive, and he's a polyglot. So he has spent time living, I would say, the last good chunk of his adult life. He's been living in Europe, and he's been living in Iceland most recently. He has dual citizenship with U.S. and Iceland. And this record is his third solo album, and he's kind of an alternative singer-songwriter. And in this album, he's throwing lots of shade, and he's reading others. And he's also kind of doing it to himself. But it's a kind of sometimes dark and angry, and at the same time funny album. And in terms of the characters that he's talking about, I mean, like the one song, Voodoo Doll, he's got a voodoo doll for an ex-lover that he's going to be sticking needles into. And then his intro and his outro is also a reading from a biblical passage. So that's sort of, and then everything in between, with all the angst and anger and things like that. He's recorded with Elton John. Sometimes, if you're familiar with the band Scissor Sisters, sometimes his music will have that kind of a synth pop feel to it. But I enjoyed this record really a lot. It was a gift to me. So yeah, John Grant, Gray Tickles, Black Pressure. He did release an album within last year, a couple years, called A Boy from Michigan, I think is the title of that one, which is this is a double album, and it's another double album. And so I haven't picked that up yet. I have two of his recordings, but I do enjoy John Grant. But he's not wouldn't call him an everyday listen. Got to be in the right mood where you want to listen to somebody mock and read and throw shade at people. Sort of cathartic in that respect.
Yeah. It had pretty scary cover with those white eyes there, and
with what?
Pretty scary cover with the white eyes.
Yes, and he's got that evil grin, and he's got that sweater vest, and all the pretty wallpaper behind him. But you're right; those eyes they're like glowing with rage. And many of the songs, he's expressing the very personal rage at people. So when you listen to his songs, I guess you kind of get this impression that he hasn't had a very successful dating life. So, anyway, so what's up next, Tommy?
Yeah, I have complete different. I actually seem to have from all Scandinavian countries except Iceland, but I have here the split album Tusmörke and Spectral Haze. I'm not sure, is Spectral Haze also from Norwegian, like Tusmörke, and the album name is here elektrisk skräckgögler och för historisk framtid stabler something. Electric horror lizards and prehistoric future fables. In English, something like that. But this is prog rock, space rock, psych rock. I actually bought this because this Tusmörke, and I don't remember what kind of song was this Spectral Haze Skulling at all, but here are Tusmörke's song Demonology. That's really good one, and they have songs in English and in Norwegian in both styles. They have quite many albums, this band, and they have done like couple children albums. I think there have to be some kind of children albums, probably based on some Norwegian books later.
So as you say, space and prog rock, what other similar acts might they sound like? Is it like a Hawkwind? Is it like is it like an early Pink Floyd?
No, probably more there in the Hawkwind side.
Okay.
More in that side, and the lyrics are like this. Demonology are like this occult things, and they sing about the old monsters that are there in the Norway. But this is pretty good album, this one, and actually all the earlier Tusmörke album, but then they made maybe too many albums in row, and I think they lost a little bit of touch there.
Okay. So records like this, when you were showing the records, and piques my interest on some of them, and I'm going like, Jesus, how am I ever going to find these records? Probably the only way I'm going to do that is through Discogs, and then have to order it from someone in Europe. It's I can't think of any store that I go to with any frequency where their international section is most of the time it's heavier on the African and Asian side and South American side, rather than the non-British or even German side, and those records tend to get put in with all the other mainstream rock and things like that.
Just making a wild guess, I would guess in Chicago you probably have a few stores that might like specialize in metal. I would think like,
oh yeah, there are.
I would think those would be the kind of stores you'd be more likely to get like European records, Scandinavian, Finnish, if you were going to get them anywhere in a store.
But the problem is that now I'm thinking of the black metal I might like, because it doesn't have that screeching style of vocals that the other metal has, which it doesn't appeal to me. Musically, I like the music, but it's the vocals that so the death metal, I guess, in that. Although I was just, what record was I listening to that really kind of rubs up against that? But I guess you could say it's more mainstream. Tool, I guess Tool kind of rubs up against that. But I like Tool, and as opposed to some of the others. So, whatever, as my father would say too often, 6 of one and a half dozen of another. Oh, well, here we go. Jorgen has joined us today, which means he found some records from 2015.
And a lot of them.
Oh, wow.
Really great stock of 6 records from.
Oh, okay. Well, that's pretty much fitting in with about the number that we have.
I have a feeling that this might be one of my last performances here at this stream, because the closer we get, the harder it is to find them at thrift stores, and I'm more likely out of records to show.
Right, with the newer ones, it's going to be, you need to buy a new one, and you're not going to find too many used ones to.
No, and the music overall isn't interesting enough to waste $20,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Oh, all right. Well, Chris,
Lucky
you
I have
are-
one Swedish record also here.
Well, okay. You're
But
going to save that
in the
you
next
save
door,
that?
in next
Okay.
door.
All right. So, Chris, what have you got for us here?
All right, so I'm going to show Slater Kinney records. This is called No Cities to Love. You might remember back in the late 90s, early 2000s, I was showing Slater Kinney quite a bit. Hadn't shown them in a while. That's because they had a long hiatus where Corin Tucker had her own band. Carrie and Janet did a record called Wild Flag, but they got back together. They made this album called No Cities to Love, which I think really was. It has this triple fold out, so pictures of all three members. And I thought this was a really strong album that really pretty much picked up where they left off back in 2005. Songs like Price Tag and No Cities to Love, A New Wave. Unfortunately, they put out a couple albums since then where they basically drove Janet Weiss, the drummer, out of the band. And their last two records have been pretty lame. So this is kind of, for me, is where their story kind of ends, at least in what I like. And I did see them live during this tour as well in Nashville.
Okay. I am, I have to admit, like, complete ignorance when it comes to Slater Kinney. I've heard the name a lot, but I just don't know really anything about them or the kind of music. I cannot think in my mind any song.
So I mean, it's alternative rock. They're a three-piece band, 2 guitars, drums. There's no bass guitar, although Corin has her guitar strung a little bit oddly. So she's playing rhythm guitar and sort of has the role of the bass, even though it's not a bass guitar.
Right,
so
right. Okay.
There's a lot of the two, Corin and Carrie they take turns singing. Sometimes one will be singing a verse and another will be singing a different verse at the same time. That's a big thing that would happen in a lot of Slater Kinney music.
Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. And hello, Jason.
What's up? Hey, good to see everybody.
In the house.
Yeah,
We've
lots
got
of people today.
so how many records do you think you have?
Ha! So when I went through Discogs, I actually had 500 releases for 2015. I'm not lying.
That's what
10 times more than I have.
250 a page. I didn't bring 500.
Okay, Tommy picked 10. I think that he pulled. So I mean, we are dealing with a limited. So when we get to you, again,
I'll do a batch.
if you want to show like 2 or 3 or something like that for each round, that'll work. So, but yeah, Jorgen, what have you got for us?
I have not 500. I have the total sum of. I counted wrong. I have 7 records to show.
That's it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a big year.
I warned you. The first I have is an artist that I bought this 1 week ago, and it is an artist that I've grown to like a lot for the past couple of years. She is born in Greece. Her original, or at least has Greek inheritance. She is born Marina Diamandis. So with that last name, she used first the name Marina and the Diamonds as her artist name. After 3 records, she skipped that and the Diamonds and called herself just Marina. And I managed to find all 3 albums where she is named Marina and the Diamonds. So first I had this one, Family Jewels. Then came Electra Heart, special deluxe edition. And the final one came in, surprise, surprise, 2015.
Wow.
And it is this, Fruit. And Marina and the Diamonds are a kind of electro pop style. She has a very varied voice that can move both from a little deeper female voice to normal pop voice and all the way up to almost opera style. And she uses all this range in her voice fantastically. These are a little more darker. This is a little more brighter, but still electro pop style. And I like her very much. I think she has a really great voice and very exciting melodies. So Marina and the Diamonds and Fruit.
Interesting. Like, it makes me think of the cereal Fruit Loops. So with the colors on there. All right. Marina is the name, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Have to find something online of hers and give it a listen. So, Jason, what have you got to kick off your show here? And probably, like I say, if you want to do several, that's cool, because you've got a pile there. And you're muted, so you want to.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'll warm up with some CDs. I'll do the CDs first. I gotta say, 2015, I was surprised. It's really a pivotal year for a lot of techno stuff. So I have a lot of techno to show. I have one techno to show here in these 4 CDs. So I really only had about 4 or 5 CDs from the year, but I have a lot of vinyl from 2015. Starting off with some modern thrash metal, almost crossover, Skeletal Remains. I just looked up where these guys are from. They're from Whittier, California. Am I saying that right? Whittier? Or
Sounds
Whittier?
about right.
They're from Whiteyville, California. This is not their best album. This is an older one. I kind of discovered them on like the album or two after this, but it's not bad thrash. Then I got a band. I got some hardcore punk. This is Napalm Raid, Disgusting Human. Yeah, Disgusting Human. This is kind of a compilation of past 7 inches and stuff that they put out, because again, punk and hardcore, they don't tend to do a lot of CDs. When you get the CD, it's usually a comp of 7s that they'd be putting out. These guys are actually from Canada. They're from the Atlantic coast. They're from Halifax, and they do some great crusty punk. I don't know, Tommy, if you've heard of Napalm Raid.
No.
They're quite good, worth checking out. Almost a little crossover into thrash metal, a little bit too. It's crusty. One more metal band to show, Harlot. And these guys are from down under, from Melbourne, Australia. A modern thrash band. I guess these guys started around 2006. So this is a little later in their discography. Proliferation. Sorry, I'm coughing up a storm. I just got into the store today. And last but not least for CDs, got to show this one. This is a techno CD. This is the artist Regis, who's been around since the 90s. I started following him in the 90s when he started out. In late 90s, he was really championing like the first wave of minimal techno. So first wave minimal techno is really like that Jeff Mills, Detroit, heavy analog sounding techno. It's not the sleek minimal stuff that came out of Berlin in the second wave. The first wave was really US driven and UK driven, like UK guys like Surgeon and this guy Regis, who were both on the same label for a little while, I think. So this is on a label called Blackest Ever Black, which is out of UK, and it's a compilation here, it seems, 2010 to 2015 of Regis songs or remixes that Regis did. And again, like his style of techno is just really hard, driving, minimal, like there's no vocals usually, there's not a lot going on. It's 7 minutes of a drum beat and then sometimes some hi-hats and sometimes low. I mean, if you get on that rhythm pattern, you can follow the stuff. But if you just click on it on Spotify, you might be like, what the fuck is that? Or, it's boring or whatever. So sometimes these kind of genres, you have to like actually spend the time listening to the song. Otherwise you won't get it. That's it for me for my CDs for this year.
I can relate to that because are a couple LP mixes of some Detroit house and acid house that I picked up. That on my first listen, it was like I didn't hate it.
Yeah.
But I didn't connect with it right away, and it took several listens, and then I was finding the groove and find that I enjoy it so much more.
I find that same thing with drone and noise. Like if I just put it on for a second, I don't get it. But if I let myself immerse into it and like let it wave over me, sometimes I enjoy it.
Yeah, there's a few newer bands. I mean, I'll have some records to show from like 2021 and 2022 when we get there, and they're very obscure noise bands that, the first time I could see a lot of people, the first time they listen to it, what is this garbage? Because it really kind of comes off like sounding just like trash. But again, with repeated listenings, you can see what the musicians were trying to do and appreciate what they were doing. But then some people don't have patience for that, and they'll just say that's trash and they'll move on, which is fine. Keeps the records from getting too high a price.
That's true.
All right, so next one for me is going to be, eventually, I was going to start talking about them, and now they've got vinyl.
Will.
What's that?
Will.
Yeah. Will Toledo, car seat headrest. So this is Teens of Style, which is a compilation of songs that Will pulled from earlier recordings that were only available digitally. So like the numbered recordings, there was Monomania, there was Nervous Young Man, and then How to Leave Town. So he picked, and it's a compilation, but you can't call it a greatest hits because these were never hits. They were never on the radio. They never had radio play. They're just his probably ones that he liked, not maybe necessarily his favorites, but ones that he liked that he was willing to, make some production tweaks in them. So they weren't quite as lo-fi as when they were originally released. And it was to fulfill his obligation with Matador Records. Okay. He said signed with Matador Records, and he needed to come up with something fast, which is why he came up with this one. And also with the remastered issue of Twin Fantasy. Those were items that he could deliver quickly to Matador. And so, in fact, one of the songs on here, it's called Times to Die. And it's a really great song because part of the song, he's telling the story of his experience with record companies. And he is using a religious allegory to describe how it is to deal with a record company. And so he's like talking about the divine council, which is I think it's more in the evangelical Christian realm, which is where he came from. He was raised in I think it was it wasn't Lynchburg, Tennessee. Leesburg, Virginia, is where he was raised. But it's the divine council is this council of the angels with God, where they discuss worldly things, and apparently Satan is also part of the divine council. So little weird esoteric stuff, from evangelical Christianity. So he builds that into the story of what it's like to deal with the record company. It's just really, really quite good. Another really good song on here is called Maud Gone, which is from the album Monomania, and it's an homage to the Irish revolutionary Maud Gone. Now, he spells it on this record, you can see that way, Maud Gone, as in, gone away. But her name is Gonne. She was also known as the, I guess you could say, the unrequited love and muse for William Butler Yeats. So he had a thing for Maud Gonne, but she never reciprocated his affections. So yeah, that was one of the first, if not the first, vinyl release of Car Seat Headrest material. And it's a good compilation, so that you get an idea of what some of the earlier material was like. However, I mean, to really appreciate some of the early material, you just got to go back and find the electronic versions of, like songs like Nervous Young, or records like Nervous Young Man and How to Leave Town. When I saw them here in Chicago, they played, I saw them for 2 shows, and it was the second show that they played Maud Gonne. And I really loved the song because it's got this organ in it that makes me think of a roller rink. The whole melody, it sounds just like what you would hear, that kind of an organ at a roller rink, or in my case, a skating rink, because I did mostly ice skating rather than did some roller. We would go roller skating on occasion, but yeah, it was really nice song, and very, very good concert and show when I saw them. So yep, that's what I have. Teens of Style from Car Seat Headrest. Yes, it is metaphysical poetry. So Tommy, what do you got for us?
Yeah, one more Scandinavian before to the Finland, and now we have here this 7-inch. I have to do a little bit censored it. It's the Ball. And this is Swedish band.
That's very Swedish, yeah.
Yeah. And this is like, how to say here, fucked up subhuman fush guitars, depraved screaming vocals, and I don't know, is this like, not doom, but very psych rock and very fast guitars there, and the single is I Was Born.
Very strategic placement. Very strategic placing of that sticker on the album cover.
I must say, as a Swede, I never heard of it, and I don't feel that I have missed anything.
Probably get it at the sex shops.
You missed a lot there.
Yeah, this is actually really good if you are in those fush rock type of things, stoner rock type of things, and this is actually pretty expensive 7-inch now. It cost, back in the day, it cost me like 17 euros, but now it's far more, 50 euro or something like that.
Yeah, that's pricey for a 7-inch.
And actually, when I saw the cover, I need that one. So
Did you take the sticker then and put it on the sleeve that you put it in? So
this is stickers. I put it here.
Oh,
well, I'm talking about the hype sticker. That
and the hype stickers is still here. I haven't taken it off.
Oh, okay.
And they made album couple years after this, but it didn't work. But this had 2 songs. Both are like 7-minute songs, and maybe the sound are not best possible in 7-inch. They should be in like 12-inch. I think the sound would be better. And these guys are like, the number of this record is like Horny 666, and the members here are either like secret names like Mr. Ball and Ball Bass and etc. I think this is 3-piece band. So
remember that there was a time in the 60s when Je t'aime mon oncle was the most grossest thing you can listen to.
Yeah, but this is really, really fun if you are that kind of stuff. And next one, it's only Finnish bands then, and completely different.
And this band was from where?
Sweden.
Okay.
Swedish meatballs.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Chris.
You won't see that 7-inch at IKEA.
Thank God.
Thank
All
God.
right. So we're going to show you some Southern Gothic rock and roll, the legendary Shack Shakers, the Southern Surreal. And
That name I
so
know.
A lot of
JD
alliteration going on there.
So JD Wilkes, who's from Paducah, Kentucky, is like the leader of this band. They've been around since the late 1990s. They're currently on Alternative Tentacles Records. They started off as a psychobilly band, so there's obviously the rockabilly and punk mix. Their more recent records have gotten a little bit more country involved. And notice there's a song, number 4 on side B, performed by Billy Bob Thornton. So it's it's sort of like an old school storytelling country song with like the spoken word, sort of like a old Johnny Cash song, but they got Billy Bob Thornton to do it. And it's a really harrowing song because it's about they were doing road construction and a stray dog got run over by a paving machine and they had to kill the dog. And it's a pretty harrowing song.
It kind of sounds like, though, when you're talking about the psychobilly and style of music, I might like this. Legendary Shack Shakers.
Yeah, I know that band. I think they have been in Finland also sometimes. I actually have one psychobilly album here also.
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to write that down. That just sounds like something I might, if I see it, I might just pick it up.
Hey, Tommy and Jurgen, how cold does it get over there? Because right now, where I am in Ottawa, we had a minus 40 Celsius yesterday. I guess that's 0 Fahrenheit or below 0 Fahrenheit.
No,
Yeah,
Well, that's way to hell below 0 Fahrenheit. I mean, Jesus.
Way below, right? Yeah. Okay.
minus 40 is where the two scales converge.
Yeah. It's equal to minus 40 Fahrenheit.
Today we have been having.
So it's really fucking cold no matter what.
Today it have been 0 degrees here.
Oh,
Here
I'm
is
right in
like-
Sweden. Fuck
Very
this.
windy though.
Yeah.
Here's like
Tommy?
minus 3 or minus 5 Celsius.
Okay.
So not bad weather, but it's snowing at the moment. So
Oh, yeah.
But
We got
yesterday we
pounds.
had around 10, 15 minus Celsius.
Okay.
I haven't
Very
experienced
uncomfortable.
that kind of cold, Jason, since I lived in Montana. So
Montana, yeah.
the
I have
coldest.
been sleeping outside in minus 28 Celsius degrees.
Oof. Oh, wow.
It was
Which is-
You
quite
need to get a
warm.
house.
That's
Yeah,
probably
you
right
can
there.
hear when the wood kept like banging in the night when they gets freeze. It was very
Well, yeah, that happened in Montana. There was it was a high pressure dome over the state that wouldn't move. So it was brilliant, clear, sunny skies. But the daytime temperature without any wind it never got warmer than minus 25. And then at night it would drop down to minus 58. And you could hear trees exploding in the night because the sap would freeze, and
Wow.
when water freezes, it first expands, so it would just blow the side out of a tree. It would sound like like pistol fire throughout the forest at night. It was just crazy because it was so still, and I guess in cold air sound travels faster than it does in warm air. I think it seems like I remember something like that from my physics. Hey, if you know the answer to that, leave a comment and help us with that.
Weather report. Yep. Just a quick weather check in there. That's good.
Yep. All right. So, Jorgen, what do you got for us?
Believe it or not, a vinyl.
Ooh.
Remember that I in 1999 showed a Swedish rock artist named Thåström with an album with a strange title. You are the strange one, I'm the normal one. Ni som är konstiga, det är jag som är normal.
I feel like I say that a lot to people.
Yeah, in Swedish especially. This artist has been around for a very, very long time. And I managed many years ago to find a vinyl version, a little water damage, but the album itself is really, really great, by an album that he released called Den Morgonen, This Morning. And Thåström, normally I have done a whole lot of rock, punk rock, on many kinds of rock. This is more of a electro style, a very, very intimate, very, very smooth, intimate, and very, very, very heavy in some form also. So I think it's a Thåström during these more modern years is really, really good. Maybe one of the best things he have done in his career. So very, very nice, intimate, and heavy electro. Thåström, Den morgonen.
He reminds me of, and I'm trying to look it up. He reminds me of an actor, common actor who, William Dafoe. He kind of looks like William Dafoe.
Well, if you see him in moving pictures, you wouldn't, I think of that. Maybe in this picture he does.
The Thåström had some bigger hit in Scandinavia, if I remember right. I know the name, but I don't remember the song anymore.
Well, I'm not going to deny that the latest albums that he have released and it's not his most selling ones. He had his. He was a part of a band called Ebba Grön and Imperiet and Peace, Love and Pitbulls, and I showed in 1999 this album, and the hit from there was a song called 2 + 2, 2 + 2. But I think as a solo artist, his biggest hits is a song called Höghus Blues or something like that.
Yeah,
but you haven't been that big as a solo artist in South.
I don't remember the name, but I don't remember the song anymore. Should try to listen all songs, then maybe remember.
Okay, well then, Jason, what have you got for us?
I'll do some vinyl. I've got a lot of vinyl, so this is just a first batch. But like I was saying, 2015 for me really kind of pivotal for techno. A new sound is emerging, really coming together, converging on this year. It's also the year I started this shop, so I started buying even more records, if you can imagine, because I was buying for the shop and for myself, buying like 2 copies of everything, you know. But yeah, this label, I've mentioned them before, but this is the label that really did it for me. It's called Lies, Long Island Electronic Systems. So coming out of New York City, this more dirgy, lo-fi, underground, various variations on techno coming out, especially on this label, Lies. And a bunch of new artists that we haven't really heard of before because they're really championing like some new sounds. A lot of them are New York based and US based, some from Chicago, some from further abroad. But yeah, I started just stocking up on this shit. And this is like Lies number 48. The label's still going. And they kind of, I'd say like after this period, maybe around 2017, they start getting a little bit more into albums and not just singles and exploring a little bit further. But this is kind of left field techno. Again, like I said, lo-fi. And this artist, MR, is one of them. I'm going to show another MR later. He did a couple this year, and it just really hits it on the nose for me. Just grungy distortion. Just think of like a little slower for techno, just heavy electronic beats distorted like shit. So kind of crusty, a little bit crusty techno. Bookworms, another one in the Lies label. Similar kind of vibes going on. Then they had this artist. Wow. We get introduced to this new artist called Susing. Tzusing. And they are originally Malaysian born, but they've been living in China. They were in Shanghai and then Taipei. And I seen them perform once, I think at a festival in Netherlands. But this stuff really on the industrial techno sound now. So harkening back to that like Chicago Wax Tracks, EBM, some of that Front 242 kind of vibe, but in 2015. So the production quality is actually better. It's brighter and like just more modern, but like just that heavy kind of industrial stomp. Cool samples too. Track 1 is 4 Floors of Whores. I mean, he's just bringing it. This EP, this is called A Name Out of Place Part 2. There's about 2 or 3 EPs by this guy, just fucking phenomenal. His new stuff, though, then his new stuff, I don't know, he kind of loses the plot. He starts getting into like almost like trap style beats. I don't know. I'm not buying the new shit, but the old Susing, wow. Then we got a couple of releases on Lies, same label, but you got some actual picture sleeves. And this is kind of reflective of what you're going to get with this release. This is Florian Kupfer, artist. I'm not sure where he's from. Some of these artists are kind of mysterious in a way, and maybe he's like European or maybe he's US probably. But this is just kind of like lo-fi house, subtle. Same thing with this guy here. This is Person of Interest. Another one that when you look up on Discogs, you're not going to get too far in terms of who the hell this artist is. But again, on the Lies label, 2015, Long Island Electronic Systems. Now, oddly enough, the owner of the label, shortly after 2015, a couple years later, moved to Paris. He did pulled a stunty. And I don't know. I think he just maybe had a girlfriend or there or something. I don't know why he moved to Paris, but just decided to move the operations over there. He also put out one of his own releases, too. This is the owner of Lies, Ron Morelli. And this is not on his label, though. So he put out his own album, A Gathering Together. This is on the Hospital Productions label. Have you guys ever heard of that label?
No.
New York City-based, longer running than Lies. It's run by Vatican Shadow, a.k.a. Dominic Fervo. This guy, he is quite a mastermind of many aliases, the guy that runs this label. Does a lot of industrial, dark stuff, ambient stuff, noise stuff, you name it. It's in those kind of wheelhouses. So this Ron Morelli is really cool. This is kind of like drone, noise, and lo-fi techno. And last two, just to round out this kind of segment, which is, they're all kind of interrelated. This is out of Chicago. There's actually 2 artists involved here, but BW is Bo Wanzer. He does a radio show, I think, in Chicago. Really cool underground electronic music. Like some synthwave stuff and some industrial thrown in, just kind of all over the place, really cool shit. And he runs, and this he put out on his own label. So this is Corporate Park and Bo Wanzer together, and sort of a self-release kind of thing. But but Bo Wanzer has also been on that Lies label that I was showing. And last but not least, also kind of associated with the Lies and the New York dirgy kind of lo-fi techno scene. This guy, Miguel Alvarino, who's an immigrant, refugee kind of thing, and moved to the States, I think, from Latin America, and just puts out a killer fucking release. Like, this thing is like, this is heavy. This is like, if you were into metal, I think you wouldn't mind this, because it's like a heavy techno beat, again, coated in distortion. I mean, it's just chunky and funky. I mean, it's disgusting. So good. In fact, I don't know if I'm selling enough, but in fact, this one even says a palate cleanser in some of the info. So, cleanse that palate.
So, can you spell in the comments the
Lies label?
the Asian one, the Sosig?
Oh, Susing. Yeah.
Sosig, yeah. Spell that out in the.
Yeah, interesting fellow. You know, he recently, the reason why I don't like his new stuff, I don't know if it's a sellout or what, but I think he recently did some music that got picked up by like Nike or something. And it's involved in an ad. I don't know if it was on purpose or how it worked out, but this early stuff is just stomping kind of beat, industrial, cool fucking samples. Like one of the songs he did by Susing, he samples the Network movie. You remember the famous Ned Beatty?
Yep.
You know, and Ned Beatty's like, the world is all capitalists, you know, like in the future, the Russians look at the same things that we do. They want to know markets and they want to know the future. So that's just a brilliant sample that he used. But
okay. And then that last one that you showed, what was his name again?
Miguel Alvarino.
Miguel Alvarino.
I'll type that in. He goes by a couple other names too. He hasn't had a lot of output, but really cool shit. But yeah,
Yeah.
look, see if you can. I'm telling you, man, 2015 was a pivotal year for that stuff. Like kind of peak year for some of that sound.
Yeah, I spelled it right. Okay. Well, Verino, not Verino. Okay, got it.
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then, what I got coming up here is a band. They've been pretty, prolific. And this is, 2015 was the year of their first release. And I'm talking about the band Krongben. So they are a Texas band, a trio from Texas. This is their debut, and uh, it's very smooth, mostly instrumental pieces. It sort of combine surf rock and psychedelia, but with Thai musical structures and instrumentation at times. So Karong Bin is a Thai word that translates it more commonly would translate as airplane, but the literal translation is engine that flies. So, which is, yeah, a very appropriate name for, the style of music. It's a very difficult style to describe, but it's very accessible. So it's like really out there, but it's kind of like got a tether, to pull you in. So it's not like it's unreachable. And they've put out since this 2015 release. I think they have a total of 6 records now that they have released, or close to 6, and I think 3 or 4 altogether. So it's still reasonably possible to get every one of their releases, be a completist with them, and they're all really, really quite good. So they do on some of the other records a little more vocals. They got a female singer, and I can't remember what her name is, right now.
Laura Lee.
What is it, Laura Lee?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think they're from Austin, maybe?
I think they're from Houston.
Houston, all right. But yeah, I've really enjoyed their. Oh, you've got it also, I see.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because I bought mine's a 2019 reissue, so it showed up as 2019 in Discogs, and I didn't remember to pull it, but you did. So
yeah, when you pull them up in Discogs, you got to go back and then look at the entire history of the release to figure that to see when it was originally released. But that I've enjoyed pretty much everything that they have released. It's very.
Yeah, I've got a couple others of theirs as well.
It's good to kind of vibe on. It's relaxing. It's atmospheric. It's but it's also got that sort of mysterious quality that they bring in with the Thai structures to things like psychedelia and surf rock. It's just really kind of weird stuff. So you're saying that Krongben was into Serge Gainsbourg, which might, which is probably now that I think about it, yeah, that's probably a reasonable way to describe their music if you're familiar with Serge Gainsbourg.
I'm actually going to come with the biggest shocker of all, that I actually know who Krungbing are.
Oh,
I have enjoyed the thing I've heard with them. I have liked very much. I think they are very good. Hands up for once, a modern artist that you show that I know of, and I think is good.
It is, it is good. It is good stuff. The first time I heard it was in. They were playing it in the record store, and I was like, "What is this? What is this?" It just has a, I don't know. Like I say, it draws you in, when I'm listening to it. So
very hypnotizing music.
yeah, yes.
If I'm not wrong, two of the members always uses wigs when they are in public. If I'm not wrong.
Yeah, that I don't know. Although they've toured a couple times, and they were in Chicago, but for some reason I can't remember what the reason, but I was unable to make it to the show. And I think they're no, they were playing the smaller venues. I was wondering if they became so well known that they were starting to do larger venues. In the large venues, when a show comes through, it's like that's when Ticketmaster starts getting involved with the damn tickets, and the prices just get out of reach. They're just ridiculous. So I better shut up about that. Don't get me started on Ticketmaster, fuckers. Anyway, all right, Tommy.
Yeah, okay. I have here 10-inch, and this is the band's first album, Lasten hautausmaa, that it's Children Graveyard. That's a very punky name for the band, and it's the name after the Aapeli Kissala song from early 80s. And this is, they have listed it as folk rock. I'm not sure what that means, but this is pretty minimalistic thing, and all these, there's 5 songs here. Kiputyttö, like Paying Girl, and then Ihohiukset, Luut, Skin, Hair and Bones, and of course this Lasten hautausmaa song. And this Ihohiukset ja Luut reminds me like Nick Cave and Kylie Minogue's that Where the Wild Roses Grow. The story is here like girl is buried under the ground, and then she remembers what happened before that, and it's really sad songs here, and they actually quite big now in Finland. They have made 5th album is coming in spring, and actually I saw their 3 first gig in Helsinki, and I ended it up in their first music video in their first record full album, and in the song Tuulipuut, and that song is like Tuulipuut refers like tree where you are hang, so they keep their very sad stories there.
Very interesting cover.
Yeah, they all, or at least the 3 first covers are made like these painted covers. This is really good one. I think if you are in that kind of Americana folk rock type of thing, you could be liking that. And actually, I found that the singer here is Kristiina Vaara, and she is sister to my former worker that I have, that was working in my company in the 90s and early 2000s. I didn't know that before I met that worker in the gig later.
Yeah, I'm intrigued by that cover, man. Is that a solo artist or a band?
No, this is band. This is band. I think there's five members there.
Yeah, I wonder if did they use a similar artwork for their other releases or no?
Yes, a similar artwork. Yes.
Oh, okay. So
painted stuff. Pretty
is it
beautiful.
One of the band members that does the artwork, or?
I guess that Kristiina had done this artwork.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I don't remember anymore. And that it's not reading here.
Kind of reminds me of Captain Beefheart's art. If you're familiar,
stories are here like really sad, and like this Children Graveyard song, Lasten hautausmaa, tells about little children that are working in the mines, and after they are dead there, they're just buried behind the factory. And
yeah. You said it was like folk rock, right?
Yeah, folk rock. Yes.
Yeah.
Is this like neo folk? Does it get into dark neo folk kind of thing?
I don't. I
Is this like a black
say
metal
what
thing?
is neo folk, but
Put
But
the
Cool
the
looking
name
record.
of the band again in the comments there. So just
put it in the
discovered
comments. We can look that up.
Well, just type it in the comment there for us to see, and so. Oh, why did I don't know? He must have hit the exit button so that he could do that. I don't know what that was about.
Come on back.
Yeah, here he is. He's
Wrong button.
click yes.
You better move his screen back up to the order. Oh yeah,
There we go.
you're on top of it. Calvin knows what he's doing. Okay.
There we go. It's all back to normal. Yay! All right. All right. So, Chris, what do you got for us?
All right, let's do some Sturgill Simpson, some modern sounds in country music. So you may remember, I think a couple of weeks ago, either 2012 or 2013, I showed his debut record, which was called High Top Mountain. This modern sounds in country music was probably the first one where he started getting attention. And so it's still a country record, but it's not a complete sort of his first record was a very traditional country record. This, you can start seeing some of his leanings into psychedelic, psych and rock are slipping into this, although not to the extent that some of his later records will. Turtles All the Way Down, he talks pretty frankly about using various recreational drugs within that song. And pretty much the standard mainstream Nashville country establishment doesn't like him, but he found an audience largely outside of that. So
I really like his bluegrass albums.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned you didn't really dig that High Top Mountain, his first album, nearly as much, right?
Right. It was simply because my expectations were all messed up by only hearing the bluegrass. So I'll have to, I'll give it. I haven't listened to it really since I bought it, so that's more than a year. But I'll have to listen to it some more because I've been reading more about him, and he is sort of an iconoclast. And he,
if you try to pin him down in terms of music, if you try to pin him down in terms of what he believes in politics or social issues, pretty much his instinct is to recoil against that and go the opposite way of what you think.
Yeah. That's what I've been reading about him, and so I do like that kind of rebellious.
Yeah. One of my favorite Sturgill Simpson stories was wasn't this album, but the album after. He won a Grammy for Best Country Album, and then he didn't get invited to the Country Music Awards, which are like the mainstream awards. So he showed up outside the stadium in Nashville, and he had like his acoustic guitar and set up the guitar case and basically bust in front of the CMA Awards. And then he bragged about how he made $18 that night.
Keeping it real.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. So, here's someone who's got a personal connection with Khruangbin. So, at the Sydney Opera House. Oh, wow. So they certainly have gotten around. So, all right, Jorgen.
I'm going with a classic artist that have been around for a very long time. 2015, a new album arrived with Janet Jackson called Unbreakable.
Okay.
And Janet Jackson still collaborates with Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. This was the first album on her own label known as Rhythm Nations. Naturally, she would be calling that. And I've been not that much into Janet Jackson after 2001, mainly because the soul music haven't been that much interesting. But I got very, very curious when I saw this one, and I thought, why not buy it? And it was a whole lot better than I could expect it. For nostalgia, I guess she had managed to do a side 1 and side 2. And side 1 is more of a traditional dance soul style. It's very, very good. Side 2 is more of exploring different kind of music style. There's Latin music style, country music, rock music, and it is a little up and a little down, depending on. But overall, actually, a whole lot better album by Janet Jackson I could imagine, actually, for such a modern album. So I actually recommended Unbreakable, Janet Jackson.
That was that the era with the with the wardrobe malfunction?
I don't think so.
What was the hit? Any hits on that?
That I have no idea. I haven't checked that
Yeah.
out because I don't listen all that much to hit music. So, but you have collaboration with Missy Elliott here, and with J. Cole, it says, and some really great stuff here.
Yeah, I never picked up that one. I like Janet. I have a fair amount of Janet.
So, all right, then what do you have picked up there, Jason?
I'll do some sevens this one. I'll do my sevens. I might even have a 7 here that maybe Chris from Record Talk knows the band. Maybe. I don't know. It's Canadian, though. We'll start off with these guys. This is some hardcore punk from Pittsburgh. Coming straight out of Pittsburgh. Looks like a rough town. I think it is a rough town? Okay, yeah. Don't mess around, man. This is some hardcore right in your face, kind of tough guy vocals, too. I'm not always really a tough guy kind of guy for vocals, but I like it on this one. And it's on a great label, too, Beach Impediment Records, which is Virginia's hardcore scene. I'm getting to know all these different hardcore scenes around the States. I can't wait to actually visit some of these places like North Carolina and Virginia and stuff. Who we got next? Then I got Narcoleptics. And these guys were out of Chicago, now based in Brooklyn. I've got a couple 7 inches by these guys. I think this is the first one or the earliest one that I got of them. And yeah, just some more. Let's see what my notes. Just straight up hardcore, pretty much, on a label called Warthog out of the U.S. Then I got 2 Canadian things here, really cool compilations. Well, this one's a compilation. It's on the It's Trash Records. I've sent out a couple of these in VCLTs before because sometimes when I really like something and it's cheap, I just buy a bunch, send out. This has got a bunch of bands on here, including Flesh Rag and this punk band, Get Off the Cop, one of my favorites. Saw them perform just before the pandemic at a little local festival. Just totally in your face, kind of not so punk. Some garage elements too on this compilation. Noise pollution. So Hamilton is a smaller city outside of Toronto. It's not quite in the GTA. Well, they call it the GTHA if you include Hamilton in the Greater Toronto area. And also from Hamilton, these guys were also on that comp, Flesh Rag. This is some really cool kind of queer punk stuff. I think the singer sings in drag, and I saw these guys live as well. Flesh Rag, fun, kind of garagey punk, good times. Am I cutting up? Am I okay? Because sometimes
You're okay. You're all right.
Okay, it was cutting
Oh,
up
is
really.
it kind of like the Cramps a little bit?
No, not really. They don't quite have that kind of level of. It's a little more punky than rockabilly,
Okay.
I would say, but it's just sort of trashy, punky, kind of loose stuff. Fun, pretty fun times. And I mean, the label is also called It's Trash. So, whoops. And last but not least, this one I actually got as a VCLT. I got this from Logan, Swellheads from Chicago. I don't know if you know him, Calvin.
Yes, I know Logan.
Yeah, good kid.
We
right?
went on a record crawl one time.
Oh, did you? Oh, cool. And he sent me like a couple of VCLTs now. This one, he sent me some 7s, and he sent me a CD of his old sort of alt rock band because I think he was quite active in the 90s. with music and such. This is the one, maybe, Chris, have you ever heard of this? Weed?
The
You heard of
name,
Weed?
yeah, I've heard of Weed. As far as the band goes, the name sounds faintly familiar, but I don't have a record by them.
I'm just saying it's a bit in your wheelhouse because it's a little bit more on the indie rock than punk kind of
Yeah.
sound. Kind of got a bit of a 90s feel to it, which is probably why Logan picked it, but it's a 2015 release. So, yeah, Weed. And actually they're from Vancouver, so they are Canadian, and they're a little bit dream pop shoegazy influence as well.
Logan is Murmur from Hell.
Yeah, he changed his name.
Right.
times.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Check it out, Weed. I mean, I've never seen this one, but I haven't really looked for this kind of stuff, but it's pretty good. I like it.
All right. Interesting 7-inchers.
Yipper.
So this one, this is a record that I was initially very enthusiastic about and intrigued after I saw some music videos, and my interest in it just waned. No longer quite as enthusiastic. This is Blue Neighborhood by Troye Sivan, who, this is, I guess they call it blue-eyed soul. I kind of sometimes I call it white boy R&B. It is an interesting record. What intrigued me about it is a thematic record that is focused on a crush between two boys, and the one boy who is the object of the crush, he's not the singer, the narrator of the story, lives in a abusive home with a homophobic father. So there is a really good story in here, but yeah, it just, after a while, it kind of lost its luster for me. He's a very popular musician, singer. He was born in South Africa, in Johannesburg, and then when he was still very, very young, the family moved to Perth, Australia. If you are a Marvel movie fan, then you will know Troye Sivan because he played the young Wolverine in X-Men Origins. So he's an actor as well, and he has had other acting roles. He is really, really quite popular, with this style of music. And he has several records up. But this is probably a record that, if somebody wants it, I'll give it to you. It's, again, just not quite, it's good, but it just doesn't do it for me anymore.
If I'm not wrong, he also did a pretty good song, but together with the Australian band Pnau.
Yeah, he did. So he's done
at the end of last year.
He's done some other records that have all been very well received, both by people in the music industry as well as fans. So I remember when I did my video review of this record when I first got it, I was pretty enthusiastic about the record, and I get a bunch of people who were like, "Oh, I love Troye Sivan." Oh, a lot of people leaving comments from his fan base. So yeah, he's got no problem selling records, but like I say, it just lacks the dynamism that I try and find in especially this type of music. It just lacks that the extra secret sauce that is going to make it special for me. So, but yeah, anybody wants it, let me know, and maybe who knows, I may just put it up for sale in Discogs. So it's still in excellent shape because, like I say, I haven't played it very much. but that's what I got for this round.
The story sounds, intriguing and tragic, but musically, I guess it just fails for you.
Yeah, well, it's I like
Mediocre.
authentic R&B,
Right.
and I find a lot of there's no delicate way for me to put it. A lot of white guys who fall into the R&B fold, to me, they're just kind of jumping on a wagon of music that, to me, doesn't belong to them. You know what I mean? I guess that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a long
that's-
tradition of that, right? Rolling Stones and
Right.
Yeah. But some of them can pull it off better. Like Hall & Oates, I mean, they're great.
Yeah.
Philly Blue-Eyed Soul.
Well, they're great,
But
to
maybe
some,
not this good.
but not me. But
Oh, really? You don't like Hall & Oates? I'm a huge Hall & Oates
no.
fan.
But yeah, it
likes
is
Hall &
what it is. It is what it is, and it's just something that
Fair
I
enough.
just don't necessarily appeals to me.
I have several Hall & Oates singles.
They're on my bucket list to see. I've never seen them live, and I'd love to, because they got so many songs, right? So many good songs. A real pop side to my music collecting.
Just be sure you say Hall and Oates, not Hall and Oates.
Hollow Oates? John
Right.
Oates?
They're not a truck full of oats, so
No.
No, Hall & Oates is great. I have a lot of records for them.
Tommy, are you a Hall & Oates fan?
No.
No, Hall & Oates.
What a surprise.
Damn.
well, then what do you have for us then, Tommy?
Okay, I have here 3. I promised my wife to cut off like 9:30, but I think this goes a little over. I was in the gig last Friday. Unfortunately, Jason, Virhe didn't have any their cassettes or anything.
What?
Because the video is out
Okay.
now in live here, but there was one member of this band, Carnival singer Vesa was playing guitar in another band, toinen Kivikausi, and all these 3 bands are here like from Helsinki. And Jörgen probably knows one band, and Jason should know the last one. And this is 4 members here, and actually the drummer is my colleague. He's also teacher in the same school that I am, and this is like hardcore mixed with black metal, but more into the hardcore wave. And actually the cover is made by Läjä Äijälä, the Terveet Kädet singer. So this is very, very hardcore stuff. And originally these guys are from Kajaani, but now all are living here in Helsinki.
That looks cool, man. That band you just saw? You saw that band?
No, they were not there, but the singer of this Carnival was playing guitar, and the Hexa, the drummer, and the bass player was also there. Hannu was also there seeing the Vesa's playing there.
Just hanging out. Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
And this band, Jörgen probably knows. It's Pertti Kurikan nimipäivät. That was Finnish Eurovision Song Contest attended in 2015, and they saw Aina mun pitää. This is also 4 members here, and this is all. These 4 guys are retarded, like they have Down syndrome or some other things. I'm not sure is retarded. This is the correct way to put it, but I can't.
Disabled.
I quit watching the Eurovision around 22 years ago. So I have no clue.
Damn! You should show like Pertti Kurikan nimipäivät sing their 1.5 minute punk rock song. The singer Kari have the most punk rock voice ever.
Wow, cool.
And this Aina mun pitää, they are like singing. They are living in some kind of place where this retarded people are living with some kind of care, and they are singing about always I have to do wash my teeth and things like that. This is really fun 7-inch, and the last one is for Jason probably knows this. Force
Yeah,
and
for seeing. Yeah.
Helsinki Savagery, their first album, and this is total thrash metal mayhem here. And in 2022, the best thrash metal album was Foresee's Untimed Force, and this really started. This is super good.
Debut.
The second was too metallic,
Yeah.
but now they are back in the same level than this one. And
Yeah, I just ordered the new one, Tommy. I just ordered it, so
good, and
I'm ready.
This is super good live band. They are delivering their stuff like really heavy and fast. And this singer,
Have you seen them live?
Yeah, I have seen them 3-4 times.
They bring it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is really good. Really good band, and they are now going to have some European tour, and at least in UK they are playing.
Oh, cool.
So if there anybody listening from UK, you have to go to see Foreseen. It's the best.
They're on a really cool metal label, right? They're on $20 spin, but they do this crossover between hardcore and metal, sort of. Thrash.
Yeah, but that thrashcore is maybe the good way to express their style.
Yeah.
But hey guys, I have to go. I promised to my wife that I spend the rest of the evening with her and not with YouTube.
What? You're leaving us?
Right. But hey, maybe we see in next Sunday. I don't know.
Thanks for joining.
I probably have 2060s albums quite a lot.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. See you guys. Bye.
Right. See you next one.
Bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining. So check out, if you're unfamiliar, check out Tommy's channel, Tommy's Vinyl Knot. All right, Chris, what do you have for us?
I have something. You might have this album, Richard. I know you like this artist. So this is Mdu Mokhtar.
Yes, I had that pulled. That was going to.
You have this record?
Yes.
Okay, so this is. I don't even know if I want to attempt to pronounce the name of the record, but it's a soundtrack to a movie that was basically made about his life. That I've never seen the movie. I don't know. Have you seen the movie?
I have not seen the movie either.
Yeah, I don't know how easy or how hard it is to access seeing the movie. I haven't really tried, but this is. I know you showed a record of his a couple weeks ago. This is the earliest record of his that I happen to have. So, and so I mean, it's obviously it's that Tuareg blues rocks, Sahel blues style. Just freaky skills as far as his guitar playing goes. And again, I think I've mentioned before that it's not just him; it's his band is really good. So,
right, the rhythm section of his band is just freaking amazing. And the bass, I'm typing in here, trying to do a YouTube search to see. There is a trailer for the film. And then here I'll shrink you back down. But there's a trailer for the film on YouTube. But I do not see any full length. There's individual videos from different songs on it, but yeah. So yeah, I don't know how to to see the film. But yeah, I was going to. That was one of the records I also had too, because part of what's going on in that film is the revelation that how the people in this Saharan region share their music. It's everybody's got it on their phone, and then so they go to these shows. Mdu Mokhtar, Tanarwin, and many of these others, they play weddings, they play these social events, and then people record this, and then they're in some other location, then they start sharing, the music that way. And it's just interesting about that. The story about how his first guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just amazing. In fact, there's I have a Tenarwin record that shows a child with a guitar that is made that way out of a box, and then the strings probably coming from bicycle cables, and that's the kind of guitar he started with. So yeah, I mean, just I have a playlist, Namdu Mukhtar. It's a public playlist that has a lot of not just the videos I've made about him, but a lot of other videos that I have found. Just it's always amazing to watch him play, and then like you say, his rhythm section, they're just is phenomenal in terms of their musicianship as he is, because they've got to keep an eye on what he's doing, especially with some of the, there's certain songs that he goes crazy on. And, but it's amazing how they're watching him and they're so well rehearsed that they can end a song, boom, just like that. And they know it's time to end the song. The amazing stuff. Mdu Mukhtar. Yeah, I can't. The translation is rain the color blue with a little red in it. So it's homage to Purple Rain. So, okay, Jorgen, what do you have?
I have.
I'm do my last record because that was going to be one of my records. So
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. We are at an hour and a half, so that's fine. So what do you got, Jorgen?
I have an artist that I assume, a band that I assume won't be doing much more records due to the passing of one of the key members. I'm talking about the Prodigy, Keith Flint, who's no longer among us. Rest in peace. They released. I have a hard time listening to knowing about what Prodigy have done for the past years, but all of a sudden, this album turned out in a web shop for a very low price. This is The Day Is My Enemy. And this is a Prodigy that is, say that it is what was left of the big beat business. It is experimental. It is a little bit more electronic than previous, but hysterical, experimental. It is danceable, and it is unpredictable, and a very, very interesting album. The title track is a really, really great one.
The Day Is My Enemy. Yeah, I feel like that sometimes when I wake up.
This is, from what I understand, the second last album by the Prodigy. They made one after this before Keith Flint's death, and so but highly recommended Prodigy album. Very exciting, very unpredictable, very hysterical.
I frankly don't know very much about Prodigy. So
I showed them numerous times during the 90s, 94, 90.
Yeah.
really, I don't. For some reason, I can't remember any of them.
Yeah,
Huh.
the 90s would have been considered probably like their heyday.
No
I
doubt.
have one
I
other
do-
record.
yeah, I've
from
heard
that
of
time
them.
span.
I've heard of them or of it, the band. But yeah, I can't. Something I just don't know their music. Or I see Jason has on
Customers.
AWOL, so I don't know where he is. So we can come back to him. This is my last record that I have, and it is this band out of Detroit, a kind of a post-punk noise rock band known as Proto Martyr. So I got to remove this shrink. I don't know why I still have shrink on here. Because even then, that hype sticker is really not that. Hell, I'm just going to rip it off now. But anyway, yes, Proto Martyr. The singer is, this is the only Proto Martyr album I have, but Joe Casey is the singer and lyricist who, with this album, kind of, I guess you could say he waxes philosophic in some way. But then he's got this biting edge to his lyrics. But then you've got Greg Ahi, not sure how to spell or pronounce, the guitarist, who just puts in a lot of noise and fuzz, even a little bit of jangle mixing in with it. And it just really goes well with Casey's vocal delivery, which at times is kind of like speechifying as opposed to singing. And I guess another way to explain their sound, just really wild insert they have here. I guess it's a poster, which I've never. I mean, there's some, interesting artwork, and then I can't remember who this image, if it's Claudius or who it is that the image on the front cover. But the music is like smart, but in terms of the lyrics and also the music, but it's not pretentious. They're not a pretentious sounding pontificating kind of band. It's just really kind of it's well done, but it is related to the post-punk hardcore noise, which for some people, this is one of those bands I rub up against my limit in terms of my toleration for some of the vocals. The music I don't have a problem with, but and I like the vocals with this, but there is that point where I'm rubbing up against a vocal style that quickly does not appeal to me. But Proto Martyr does. Interesting label on the record as well, and then it's got this booklet. I don't know really what it is. It's clandestine time. Are these the lyrics? Yeah, it's got the lyrics are inside this booklet here, with a lot of other bizarre comic style artwork that goes with it. But yes, Proto Martyr. Check them out if you are into that genre of music. What do you have, Chris?
Well, I've got 3 records left. Do you want me to show them? Are we still going around since you're out, or?
Well, yeah, we can still. Well, let's see here. Jason is probably handling a transaction in his.
I have 3 records also.
All right, well, go ahead. I'll just sit out for these last rounds then. So
Okay.
Go ahead, do them one at a time.
Okay, so I got my Juliana Hatfield record for the year. So we've got the Juliana Hatfield 3. So the 3 means that this was a reunion of she only uses this name. There's a specific lineup of 3 people. They're the ones who did the Become What You Are album from the 90s. That's her most well-known record. But this was a reunion they did in 2015, Whatever My Love. So you've got Dean Fisher on bass. He happens to be married to Tanya Donnelly from Belly and Throwing Muses, and Todd Phillips on drums. So this specific lineup is the only time the Juliana Hatfield 3 name is used. It's got some pretty strong songs. This is the first time she was on American Laundromat Records, which she's been on now since 2015. And I think having somebody else do the records rather than her doing it herself that she was doing for a while was good, because she's good at the art, not so good at the business. So some of these songs were songs that she'd done on some previous albums, but done in more of a rock style, because a couple of them had been done in as acoustic songs. So I know you guys are bored with me showing these records, but there's one almost every year.
She was prolific,
Yeah.
which is perfectly fine. So yeah, we get some other years, but maybe some earlier years. And I'm not saying Julietta Hatfield is that kind of niche for you, but there are a couple niches that the musical artists that I want to collect. You know, if I were to show them, you would go, "Really, Rich? Really, Richard? You listen to this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I do." So, all right, Jorgen, what do you have?
I have a band that I showed 2 weeks ago. If you remember that I showed the British band Churches with a splendid singer Lauren Mayberry. I showed the album The Mother of What You Believe, and after that this album came, Every Open Eye. And it is filled with another set of really great electro pop styles, synth pop. Maybe this is a little more focus on pop than The Mother What You Believe is, but this is a really good album. Like the song Bury It, it's also a really nice great song, and highly recommended. More Churches.
Yeah, I remember when you were talking about them before,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember seeing that. I always get them mixed up with there's a band called The Church, I think.
Yeah, from Australia.
Yeah.
Very different.
They are a little bit different. New wave-ish, both of them, but one is rock and one is synth pop. You might say that.
Yeah. Okay. Jason, what have you got? I'm out
back.
of records, but we're still doing I think 2 more rounds.
Oh, good. Okay, yeah. I had to pop off actually because that guy came in. He's from Sarajevo or Croatia or something, but he comes to
Sarajevo,
Ottawa
yeah.
once a year, and then he buys all the tapes. He buys like every tape from my label. So he came with a list. He said I'm missing some of them, so I'm looking them up for him. So with that, I'll do a tape update for this round. I'm not going to show any of my label because I know Jorgen was upset with that last time.
Oh yeah, I wasn't even online last time.
Okay, I thought somebody was. It wasn't last week, but I had showed something. This one straight up. This is Slur Demo 2015, hardcore noisy punk, kind of crusty, kind of blown out sound, just like noisy as hell. And it's on UK label called Quality Control, which I did a big mail order from them about a year ago, and I think I got it in that mail order. And so this is Slur. And inside, look at this. They did a little kind of see-through cover. That's pretty cool. Just additional info, I guess. So that's kind of fun. Hardcore punk. Next one, I got more punk. I do have a mix here in the cassettes, but just rounding out the punk here. This is more noisy hardcore punk out of Baltimore called Humania. And I think I have a 7-inch by them as well. But here we got a yellow tape. Pretty fun. 2015, getting into the tapes. And then we got some electronic stuff. This is an artist, Segalia, from Toronto, I think. But she's been on that Lies label too, sort of like that new wave of kind of underground weirdo techno, sometimes a little lo-fi. Cool tape. This is on a label called Summer Isle, which I think is a Toronto-based tape label. And I don't know if they're still around, but they were pretty active for a while. Then 2 more to go here. I got another electronic one. This is Aesthetic House, is the label. The artist is called Human Particle, and the album's called The Left Eye. This is on a white shell. And this is just sort of ambient, kind of more quieter stuff. some techno as well. US label called Aesthetic House. And then last but not least, we got some Blasphemy. Oh, good old Blasphemy. This is a heavy metal split. And Whip Striker and Bastardizer. Kind of hard to say, Bastardizer and Whip Striker. Strike of the Bastard. Some good old fun, thrashy black metal stuff. Stuff about virgins and demons and grinding people down. And yeah, your usual stuff.
Good wholesome music.
It's too bad Tommy wasn't on because he might appreciate some of that, I'd say. Pretty cool little split cassette. See through vinyl. So yeah, some hardcore punk, some metal, and some electronic in the tape section.
All right. I go by me because, like I say, I've used up what I have. So what do you have, Chris?
All right, so I'm going to show Courtney Barnett. Sometimes I sit and think, and sometimes I just sit. So she's she's become fairly prominent, I think, in the last several years. Australian woman, sort of a alternative rocky sort of singer-songwriter. This was her full-length debut. My understanding is I think she had a couple of EPs that were released before this. And she's got a really sort of, it's hard to describe if you haven't heard her, but if you've heard her, you know what I mean. She's got a pretty distinctive sort of way of like delivering her vocals. The song titles don't really have much to do with the actual lyrics of the songs, but Elevator Operator and the like. So, and I have another one of her records. I like this one the best, so of what I've heard by her.
I know the name, but again, this is musician music I am very unfamiliar with. But yeah, I know the name. Well, Jorgen, have you one more for us?
Two more even.
Two more. All right.
Now another band that have been around for a while. They have released an album just recently called True North that I think is a little bit boring actually. So let's go to the days when Aha from Norway was actually good. In 2015 they released this album, Cast in Steel. I think it was their return album after a long hiatus when they have nearly broke up. But this is a relaxing, nice sounding pop album. Now atmospheric, more little guitar pop style in the production. Under the Makeup, highly recommended single. So Aha, still going, and still great, with exception from some songs of the latest album. But this was a really great album.
Yeah, I remember because Aha kind of got their start in the 80s, right?
Yeah. Wow.
So yeah, that's pretty admirable, when if it's the same people as well.
They are the same people, but they have broken up a couple of times. They aren't the best friends, but they have been together for the band's sake. But they're off and on at times.
Yeah, when they need cash, hey, well, let's get together and do another record.
I read somewhere that the vocalist Morten Harket, the two other members that does the music, Paul Wachter Savoy and Magnus Furuholmen, they do the music, and then Morten Harket shows up and do the vocals, and then they do the PR, and that's it. So they not that, but they still exist as a group.
Right. Yeah. Well, it can work, and if they're putting out quality material, then that's fine. All right, Jason, what do you?
Okay, so we're doing 2 rounds. So this one and then one more.
Yeah. How many do you have? 2 rounds left, also, Chris?
Yeah, I can do 2
I've
piles.
got one record left.
One record.
One record left.
Jorgen has one record left.
So I'll finish that.
You're right. So you got
Yeah,
two
okay.
more. This one and another one.
Okay. A bit of a variety here in this one. Back to vinyl. This one is Drew McDowell. Don't know if you guys remember that name much, but he is a member of Coil.
Oh, okay. I don't know some of these bands I listen to, but I'm not familiar enough with the numbers.
Stunty's favorite band.
Oh, I love Coil as well.
Yeah, it's great. This is a great album. It's called Collapse, and it was on a U.S. label, the Dace label. That label, I don't know if it's from LA or what, but that they put out a lot of experimental music. It's a pretty accessible label, like you can find it in shops. So yeah, Drew McDowell did this one, and I think it's like a see-through vinyl or something. It's pretty cool. It's pretty quiet. It's not harsh industrial in your face or anything. It's more ambient and interesting sounds and quiet sounds and stuff. You almost want to have a good pressing because there's some really quiet moments going on. I'm sure there's some sort of intensity to the whole thing, being from Coil. He has like liner notes about something, collapse and convulsing and collapsing. It says this recording is recorded in Brooklyn in 2015. There's violin on here and artwork, and it's kind of a nice high end sort of experimental project. Now we'll go low end. We'll go back to metal. So some nice, good old low end thrash metal, Canadian band actually, Gatecrasher, and here the boys are in the back. They probably don't listen to much Coil or Drew McDowell, but I do. I listen to both. Speed Mania. This is just cool. Like it's more kind of like speed metal than thrash metal, and the distinction is quite subtle. You can imagine. But it's on Hard and Heavy Records out of Brampton, Ontario, and just really fun. Just kind of throwback metal, fun stuff. Sounds like an 80s record, but it's 2015. This is some hardcore punk out of 2015. Group's called Alienation. And these guys are from East Coast again. They're from Halifax. Again, I do seem to pick up some from there. It's on Warthog Speak, which is a U.S. label. And yeah, just a cool EP of their stuff, hardcore punk. And then a couple of two last ones here for the round. A couple of cool techno compilations. So this label kind of just came out of nowhere for me. I didn't really know much about this label or anything. It's called In the Dark Again. And every release is sort of a comp. So this is In the Dark Again number 3. I actually picked up a used copy of this for $10. And it's really awesome. I thought it was going to be like more techno, but it's actually more synthwave. A lot of synthy stuff. Frack is on here, which I'll show later. Frack is from Sweden, I think. Yeah, cool compilation. And then this one is also a compilation on the electronic side too. This is called, what the fuck is this called? It's called Knives Replace Air Volume 1 on Common Thread label. And these are the artists that are on it. None of them even I know sometimes. But I have got other stuff by Chinaski. And I really, really love the artist named 33103402. And I'm not actually just making that as a joke because that artist is really cool. They've got something on Lies as well. Just really intimate, ambient kind of experimental stuff. And so this is a cool comp. There's like 4 artists, but they're all kind of a variety of styles here of electronic music. And something, I don't know if it's this one, but there's something on this label that I have sells for quite high on Discogs because I don't think there was a lot pressed or something. But so that's my round.
Okay. So then we're going around for the final wheel.
Final wheel.
What do you
All right,
have?
so the last record I'm going to show today, Alabama Shakes. So this is their second and apparently final record, Sound and Color. You got a gatefold. It's a double record, but it's actually a 3-sided record. I'll show you. It's on clear vinyl. This is side C, and then there's no side D. This side is complete. There's no grooves at all on this side. They didn't do an etching or any other tracks. It's just completely blank. So a woman named Brittany Howard was the vocalist for this group. They got a lot of attention probably early mid 2010s. I think they won like some Grammys for like alternative albums and stuff. Sort of a mix of like soul and blues rock and southern rock. The front woman, she was a African American woman, but doing probably not the sort of music you would stereotypically expect a black woman to be singing. So that's my last record.
Is it punk?
No, it's definitely not punk. and they are from Alabama, so
Right on. Not a big punk scene in Alabama, maybe.
I mean, there's little punk scenes everywhere, so
Right.
but they can be pretty little. But yeah, that's not a punk record at all. So
Okay. All right, Jorgen, what do you got?
A Swedish lady that I have also shown before. This is one of my favorite Swedish singers, female singers, Lisa Nilsson. This, as you can see, also it is a signed one. This is half maybe a little cheating because it is half a compilation, half containing new stuff, half containing stuff that haven't been released before. So a little this and a little that in this album. Ingen gör det bättre. No one does it better. It is some from a TV show that we have called Så mycket bättre, That Much Better, where famous musicians gather together and sing each other's song in new versions. So, but Lisa Nilsson has, as I mentioned before, a very soulish, great voice, and she does soul music, pop music, maybe some jazz also. So a really great, nice album with a whole lot of the best and the new stuff that you didn't have with her.
Okay. So I actually have one more record so I can close out the show. So Jason, what have you got for us?
All right, cool. Well, I'm going to go back to some electronic music and techno. I said before, 2015 was a big year for that. Just a lot of cool sounds coming out, emerging from the underground, right, left, and center. But we're going to go over Europe's side this time for this round. And I'm pretty confident this is actually a Swedish band with all the Bjorns that are in the band. Frack. It's actually on a Luxembourg label called Lux Records. Primitive drums. But this band Frack, they're techno at times, but they're also industrial at times. Kind of a nice variety of stuff. And I feel like one of the members is started the label Borft Records. So Borft is, because I have some of their stuff on Borft, which is from Sweden, started in '87 as a cassette label doing experimental electronics and continuing on from there. In a city, Jorgen, called Karlskrona.
Karlskrona. The south
Right.
part of Sweden. It's south of Sweden.
It's south of Sweden, but it's in Sweden.
Yep.
Yeah, it's in the southern part. Yeah, okay. So, yeah, that's my Swedish pick there, Frack. And then in the UK, we got a really cool label coming out, emerging in 2015 called the Trilogy Tapes. TTT, Chemotex is one of the releases. And several people online were quite disturbed by this cover, as you can imagine. It's actually a film still. I mean, some people were like, "Holy shit! Did you do that to get that picture?" It's like a film still from a horror movie. It's pretty cool techno. It's not really as harsh as that album cover looks, but it's interesting stuff. They got another artist on this label called Ekman. This is kind of all over the place techno, some acid house, acid techno. Then we get over to Netherlands and an artist called DJ Overdose. I got to show DJ Overdose. He had about 3 or 4 releases in this year. I picked up all of them. He just does really cool shit. It's just well produced, good techno stuff. This one's a little bit more heavier on the synth. And these 2 labels, actually, Murder Capital and VLX, are from the Netherlands. Lots of good underground dance music from the Netherlands. Here's another DJ Overdose. Also on a Dutch label. And last but not least, I think this label is Well, it has a .de, so it must be a German label. I was going to say Belgian, but it's a German label. Dungeon Acid. Very cool. Everybody's sort of Dungeon Synth is sort of emerging at this time as well, which is not the same as this. Dungeon Synth is like very big in the black metal scene. It's just one guy with a synthesizer playing kind of creepy, sort of churchy music, but more on the Satan tip. That's Dungeon Synth. This is Dungeon Acid. It's really just an acid house kind of throwback, a little bit of a retro vibe to like the 80s in Chicago, kind of jacking, cool shit. I think Stunty would like this, but he might be like, oh, it's a little too modern and I want the original. But I think this one rocks. So it's on a label called Class Rex, which is out of Germany. So anytime I show an import, it means it's a little bit more expensive for me to buy in Canada, but it's cool shit.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Lots of great music, electronic music in that year.
I'm surprised I missed this when I was going through my records, but I started thinking, Toe. I know they must have had a record released in 2015. And I did a quick check and yep, sure enough, they did. So this is Toe and the record is Hear You. And on this very cool color variant, which is typical of this band where they will release a bunch of different color. And I will not go out and buy every color variant. There are people who do, want to have every color variant, but no, that's fine. Toe is a Japanese math rock, post-rock band. And I recently did a video of going through their discography, ranking their discography. And this is one of the weaker albums, but on my scoring system, it still scores a 4. The lowest ranked album in their catalog is still 4 on a scale of 1 to 5. So, I mean, it's really good stuff. And I really can't. Kashikura Takashi on drums is just, the guy's maniacal. He's just an amazing drummer. And, listening to their music, you might think that it all kind of blends together, but it doesn't. Each of their albums is very, very distinct. The style of music is you've got this drummer who's, as I say, just maniacal. And then you have 2 guitar players who, Toe is probably closer to math rock bands like Slint and Don Caballero. So where the percussion is very much the driving force and the guitars are playing are supplementing everything with a very simple rhythm and playing, but it's just really amazing stuff. I love this band, Toe. So if that is something that might appeal to you, on the hype sticker, it says that they are for fans of explosions in the sky, which I don't know about, but they mention American football. And there's a little bit of, but definitely the Don Caballero. They mentioned mono, but mono to me is more symphonic in their sound. Colonies of Bees, I don't know them. The album Leaf, I do not know them. Do Make Say Think, do not know them. But that's who they kind of link them up with. But I would say they're also a little bit like Slint, definitely like Don Caballero, and Polvo, perhaps. A little bit like that, though Polvo is a little bit more of a noise rock band than math rock. So that's rounding things out for 2015. Thank you all for joining the stream today and participating. Appreciate that. Great stuff. And you all have your other ventures on the with your channels, Mr. Jorgen, Mr. Mainstream. That's not the name of your channel.
No, I have a response to Miss 80's movie music tag coming up in tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, good.
And then we got Chris at Record Talk, and then Jason Skills. Your channel name?
Low noise, Jason Skills.
That's right, Low Noise, Jason Skills.
Yep. More
So
updates
I don't know why I'm a subscriber. Okay, so you know.
No, it's fair. It's fair enough. I don't always remember Record Talk. I remember Chris now, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
get the whole thing. in there, yeah.
So in next week we'll probably I'll check out and see how many records I have for 2016.
If I'm
Yeah.
lucky, I have one
Yeah.
or two.
Whoa, okay.
I may need to start maybe doing some combinations again, but we'll see regardless. So thanks to the people who are watching as well. And always remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.